Hey, welcome back to Milton Homes. Chuck here, and I believe this is the first video we've done in June. Actually, surprisingly enough, it's June 10th, and we were away in the first part of June. We had some issues, like yesterday. It was a huge list. There's no way we're doing a video on almost 50 properties. Today we've got 23. It's a much more manageable list, and this is the view actually from our room in Key West, and we talked about that's where we went for a couple days. It is a nice place to go. I told everybody I probably partied more in 3 days than I think I did in the last probably 5 years. So we're going to start off with 1360 Main Street, number 309. 266. What I like about this one is the same size as 1 bedrooms and 1 plus den, but it's got 2 bedrooms, and that's a good thing at this price point. You know, the layout's pretty good. It's not a huge family room. You have to be careful of scale here. And here's the thing I want to talk about is that the way to think about photos, because there's different thoughts on it. Some stagers say, you know what, like just have none of it, no personal objects. Other people say it's nice to have a bit of stuff. There's no right or wrong answer. My criteria is somebody going to stop and look at those photos and stop looking at the house, because it's a disjointed tour at that point. It changes their perception of the home, and quite possibly it makes them not imagine themselves in that home, but rather yours. So it's okay to have a little bit of this stuff, but I think when you have a wall of fame like this, it may actually draw someone's eyes to the point where it starts to interrupt their pattern and their decision making of whether or not they want to buy a house. So do it with caution. We see it a lot with diplomas as well. We see a lot of people that will kind of look at the diploma, well, you know, what are they doing? They start making up all these stories in their head about where you might be going or what's happening if you're selling your house. So be cautious of that. And you are facing Main Street there. But besides that, I like this one. I like the price point. I think it's done up pretty well inside. This one on Dawsons, 349, it will attract attention because it's basically a freehold townhouse for under 350. And so the same as like condo towns under 250, it's going to get a lot of attention. It needs some work inside. That's actually concrete floor. That's not carpet in the basement here. I suppose the walls are up, which is better than nothing. There's no fence here too, so it's all open. You're going to have to put some work into this. And the other thing is that this home is getting close to 15 years old. And you can look at some of the first stage Mattamy stuff like on Patterson and, you know, Waldy and all the rest of it and say, hey, you know what? They're 12, 13 years old. So these came out a little bit before then. But the thing is, roof, windows, furnace, AC, all that stuff tends to have a life of between 15 and 20 years. So aside from cosmetics, you want to budget for some of the other work that may be coming up in the future. So anyway, it says newer roof on this one. Maybe they've already replaced it, which is a good thing. But just kind of make sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's on this one. The price looks good. It's not going to last long. I know that right away. So Woodley is 364. And so it is a current model, CURRANT. It looks like it's got a laminate floor, although it's a nice laminate. Good laminate is actually pretty close to hardwood, and in some cases it's even better if you have pets because it's more durable. So it looks nice. There have been some of these models that have gone up in the 360s. It's 1195 square feet. Let's see what happens. We've got Natalie Heights at 369, so for $5,000 more, you can get this one, which is about 150 square feet bigger. So right away, the trade there, I'd say, hey, I'd consider it. I mean, again, the floors need to be done here if you're going to make it match the other one. So let's just say there's a $10,000 difference that you're going to put flooring in, although it's not going to cost that much for laminate. You've got hardwood stairs, which is good. I would choose this one. I think that this one has a lot more upside and future potential, and there's been quite a few of that model that have sold up in, one with carpet just sold over 380, and a lot of them have hovered right around that 380 mark. So you could put your floor in and still be in a good place on that one. Lots of the ones on Derry, on the row facing Derry and also on Tremaine. This one's one of the larger ones, and 374.5, they're all within a very tight range. I don't know why these guys did white appliances when they had this nice stainless steel hood fan. It doesn't make any sense to me, because everybody that goes in this home is going to say, I'm going to have to replace the appliances. And at that point, as a seller, is it a better option for you to put appliances in? Because buyers tend to overestimate how much everything costs. Anyway, you know, it looks okay. I think the price is probably pretty fair compared to what else is out there. Natalie Heights is $379. It backs onto a future fire station. So hey, you know what? If you like watching the firemen, you know, hosing their trucks off, go for it. 1275 square feet. There's only one full bathroom upstairs. The main floor is this long room, and then you've got a kitchen with a breakfast bar right here. And it's not a bad layout. I like everything about this home except for the fact that it doesn't have the 2 bathrooms upstairs. They could have taken a lot of stuff out of this kitchen. This stuff here on the fridge, this stuff up top, this ladder always tends to show up. So the clutter on top of here, there's a lot of little things that you can do in a house that aren't expensive, taking some of the stuff off of here, but it can make a huge impact in how the house shows. And I would say that by them decluttering, I would say it adds a minimum of $2,000 or $3,000 to their price. So that's a pretty good investment in time, if you ask me. So Hampshire Way is $414,900. It's one long room here, and then you've got your kitchen with an eat-in, 3 bedrooms upstairs, 2 washrooms. It's okay, $414,900. I think you can get better stuff for the same price. Cargills $419,000. This to me looks like a really good deal. We've seen the end units sell for even as high as $440,000 in some cases. So being that this is inside, it's still got a lot of nice features. The hardwood floor on the main level. It's a good solid floor plan. That's the master ensuite with just a shower. Good price on that. Farmstead is $429,000. It's about the same size as the previous one. Detached garage, which means you don't have that same effect of neighbors right behind you, which is nice. And you also have a parking space beside. It's not my favorite layout, although what they did here was nice, because normally this is a straight wall. This is just wall there, and there's no flow between the kitchen and the family room. This one opens up with flow, but you lose cabinet space because now you can't have them mounted on the wall. I don't find that it shows particularly well. I don't think the price is outstanding. And the other thing is it's got a, I think this one's like maybe a $50 to $80 fee a month for road maintenance. And so the house is a freehold, meaning that you own it completely, but you're actually attached to a common element that you pay maintenance fee on, which is the road. So next one up is Diefenbaker, 1873 square feet. And this is why I say to people, be careful of how you actually, how much emphasis you place on square footage, because this room here is kind of completely separate from the rest of the house. This is going to feel, if you don't use that room for anything functional, it's going to feel like a smaller house. It does have 4 bedrooms upstairs, but that room is tricky. What do you use it for? It's a very small dining room. It's very, like a home office would be the only thing that I could see it being used for. Maybe a kid's playroom. The rest of the house is nice, but it's really just a big long room if you're not using that front room. So anyway, so that's the thing about functional versus gross square footage that you really need to consider. 9-foot ceiling and den, of course, because it's a sunk down room. There was actually a really big sale for a nice looking home, same model as that one that was up in the 370s recently, but it is towards the high side of what townhouses do sell for. Tietzel's $479,000. It's a semi-detached, 3 bedrooms. There's only one main room here. That's it. That's all you've got on the main floor. It's been kept very well. But at $479,000, you can get much larger semis for the same price, and you're about a 30 by 85 foot lot, so it is a wider lot for a semi. A lot of the semis now are going between 22 and maybe 28 feet, and the extra few feet makes a big difference. Okay, so Fitzgerald's the next one up. It's a Green Park built home. Same thing, one big room on this main floor, and then you also have your kitchen with the eat-in. And I would probably take Tietzel over this one. I still think both of them are shooting a bit high, but Tietzel has way better upgrades. The advantage with this one is that you get the larger yard. They have put an in-ground pool in here, which may or may not be to everybody's liking. I would say that most people, I would say the majority of people are probably not that into the in-ground pool, but all you need is one buyer, and that's the big lesson from any real estate sale is that, hey, one person just has to love it. Powell model, about 1,900 square feet here. Nice finishes and upgrades, $511,900 seems like a very fair price. These 36-foot home, these are all Mattamy Homes. That's what they go for. They're about, for this size, they're about 5'10". With some upgrades, you kind of raise that up a little bit. The siding turns some people away, but it's got a balcony. It's got a good floor plan. It's going to sell at this price for sure. Swann is 517. So now you're getting a home that's a little bit smaller than the previous one. It's about 1850, but you're getting a finished basement here too. So you're getting a lot more functional space. Anything in this kind of size range, 1800 plus with a finished basement for less than 520 is actually a pretty good deal. I think we're going to see one more of these at 535 that's a little bit more upgraded. And it's weird because last year that model was on fire. Stuff without finished basements was selling for like, 530, 535, and they cooled down a bit towards the end of the year, and we've had a couple good sales for them, but they could be on the way back. Wyndham Corners are a nice floor plan. This is another Powell model, so the same as the one with siding in 528.9, and you get your finished basement here too. So the value of that finished basement is probably $10,000 to $15,000 depending on how well it's done. And pretty standard sized lot. Irving's a pretty quiet street too. Croft, here's the other Wyndham Corner. So we've got just like a next level of upgrades and finishes. California shutters, hardwood on both floors. It's a great looking bathroom there too. Very nice. This one's going to sell. I think somebody's really going to dig this one. We've seen a few semis go up in the 500s. So when you see a detached looking as good as this, you jump all over it. But then you look and you say, hey, you know what? I could go buy a double garage, 10-foot wider lot, 2,200 square feet, no finished basement. But this is actually a good deal. This is called a Milbourne model. Nice floor plan here. It needs some work. You look at something like this in the family room, it's a little bit dated. I don't know if I would have shown that fireplace in that detail because you've got the brass here. It just kind of looks a little bit older. The cords are hanging out. Bit of a further back look I think would have been a bit better for them. Upgraded floors upstairs. Yeah, you might have to rip out some older tile. A lot of times if you clean the grout, it makes a big difference to how the tile feels. That's a good looking home right there, and it's a nice price for that amount of space. We've seen similar sized homes sell up around $600,000. So even if you walked in and said, I'm going to invest $20,000 or $25,000 here, you're probably going to get it back in your pocket if you're smart about it. So Bardot is 2,000 square feet at $599. Great comparisons. A smaller house than Clark. It's a Heathwood, so it's different quality and caliber and even impression. Like, people paid more for these homes than Mattamy. It's a nice floor plan. I can't remember the model. I think it's called a Windsong, but it's right around that 2,000 square foot mark. Yeah, it's okay. I like the floor plan a lot. It's only a 3-bedroom upstairs. Marin is about 2,600 square feet, prompting to check the virtual tour. You've got a loft space, kind of a halfway room, and then you go up to the bedrooms. I like it. It's called an Eden model. This one without the loft is about 2,600 square feet, and it seems like they've chosen a fair price. There's one of these that's much more basic that's selling for around the same price. This one crushes it. Row Terrace is 638. You're getting much better finishes. Light fixtures is an easy thing. It's generally not very expensive, but you see in this home how important the light fixtures are to your impression. And the wallpaper, it's got a lot of style to it. The size seems like if they're not that far off. I think that they're definitely within range for what they've done there. Quinlans is a great presentation here. It's a Fieldgate home, 689. It's towards, I think it's around 2,800 square feet. Good solid family home. Gas range here. Same thing. You see the light fixtures there. If that's a builder light fixture in this room, you don't always realize it consciously, but subconsciously it has a different impression. And how much would a light like that cost? Maybe it's $80, $100. Watch it be like $500, but still, if you invested in certain key rooms $50 to $100 per light fixture, you're going to do well. You're not going to lose money on it. Top 5 renos we always talk about on Daily Homes: flooring, paint, light fixtures, bathrooms and kitchens. That's the big ones. So McGlaughlin is 814, 3,100 square feet. Lots of nice high ceiling effects here. Your backyard green space. Lots of goodies inside. You think about some of the ones that have recently sold. There was a Mattamy that was 3,300 square feet with an in-ground pool, and they were up, I think, around the I think they were around this kind of price range. Probably not as upgraded as this one. It wasn't bad, but the pool can kind of plus or minus your value. 1.429 gets you this one on Inglis. It's less than 3,500 square feet, and you're talking about a lot size that's somewhere around, doesn't say in the description. Usually these are kind of 1 to 2 acres, depending on how straight the lot is. I don't know. To me, I just think that a lot of this stuff should hover probably closer to about 1.2 when you look at the size and the finishes and all the rest of it. 1.429, they're competing with bigger homes, more land, that kind of stuff. And what you see in the $1 million range is that there's probably half the number of buyers that'll buy at 1.4 than even like 1.2. So it really starts to exponentially decline as you get further and further up in the price range, which means usually the homes stay longer and longer on the market looking for the right buyer, just because their pool is so much smaller. So that's the list for today. If you have any questions, give us a call. And the buyer class is coming up on Saturday, June 21st. You can go to miltonbuyerclass.com and register. We talk about a lot of great stuff, and it's probably one of the best 2 hours that you're ever going to spend in your home search. So have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.